Nanjana Chakshurmilitanyena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So we are continuing with our Bhagavad Gita discussion group, and we are on chapter 4, picking up from verse 23. Gata sangasya muktasya yanavastita chetasaha yagyaya charata karma samagram praviliyate brahmarpanam brahmahavir brahmagno brahmanahutam brahmaiva tena gantavyam brahmakarma samadhina daivam evapade yagyam yogina paryupasate brahmagna vapade yagyam yagyanaivo padruvati Shotadi ninjayan yanye samyamagni shujuvati shabdadyam vishayananya indriyagni shujuvati. Juvati, to offer. We have one of our family members in China, Janardhan Maharaj gave that name Juvati. Very beautiful, referring to offering. Well, you can follow if you like. Would you like to follow? Are you happy to hear? Okay, because we have more books here if you'd like. I'm speaking to our physical audience here. Okay. For one who is detached, enlightened, and liberated, all his actions performed in the spirit of sacrifice are perfectly dissipated. Commentary. The actions of one practicing the yoga of selfless action do not lead to apurva, as considered by the philosophers known as Karma-mimamsa. According to their ethical, yet atheistic ideology, the Karma-mimamsakas, or mundane rationalists, claim that pious actions produce an unseen, subtle potency known as apurva, which must fructify at the appropriate time after death. We're on page 98 in this edition. It's chapter 4, verse 23, Didi. Their conception that this fruit can later be shared by others is meant to show the eternality of karma or action, but it ignores the presence of the supreme autocrat. So this Karma-mimamsa, or here it's put as Karma-mimamsaka, it's actually, some of you will recall in Search for... Sorry, I muted myself by accident. Some of you will recall in Search for Sri Krishna, there's a chapter where Srila Sridhar Maharaj discusses these 6 prominent philosophies of India, which are not devotional. Actually, there's also a song of Bhaktivinoda Thakur where he discusses these 6 ideologies, which are quite prevalent throughout India, and they are not of a devotional nature. So Bhaktivinoda describes them as, he actually describes them as serving, as providing something of a filter system, so that the less diseased patients can be separated from the more diseased patients. Approaching the Lord, it is something of an obstacle course, and you can only get through to the goal if you're truly sincere. So there's something of a filter system in place, so that you can only reach it if you really want it, and you're truly desiring. Oh wow, we have Braja Mohini Didi with us. What a special treat. Hi, Dandavat Braja Mohini Didi. Which state are you in right now? Are you in Texas?
I'm still here. I'm still in SoCal, the Seva Ashram.
Okay, SoCal. Cool, awesome. Nice. So at the end of this song, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, it's in Sharanagati, this songbook on surrender, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he mentions Dandavata Durata, which means I'm giving my dandavat, my respects, from far away, from some distance, but I'm still giving some respects, because they are serving the Lord's purpose in some way, just like the case of Lord Buddha, right? We are told actually Krishna appears as Buddha, and Buddha is promoting an atheistic philosophy, but this is serving a particular purpose. This is part of a broader plan, part of a master plan, right? So it is a very broad way to understand and appreciate our environment, right? That something may be apparently antagonistic to us, but it is serving some purpose in some way. It is serving some greater plan. But what I also wanted to say is this Karma-mimamsa, this is one of these 6 very well-known, prominent philosophies of Vedic India. And they're all propounded by different philosophers, or famous philosophers in India. And so this Karma-mimamsa, it's the idea that karma is everything. And it's, for all practical purposes, it's atheistic. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he says in one place, like, there's kind of this haziness over whether God is there or not. And but even if he is there, he's helpless also. The law of karma is all in all. Karma is the overriding force that controls everything. But what's very funny is that in the Govardhan Leela, in the divine play of the Lord, when he lifts this hill of Govardhan with the pinky of his left hand, he preaches this Karma-mimamsa philosophy in order to convince everyone, because the residents of Vrindavan, they're following the Vedic protocol. They're living in harmony with their environment. They are recognizing the natural cycles. So they're seeing that the grass, which they need for their livelihood, because the grass feeds the cows who provide dairy, which provides their sustenance, But so that grass comes from, you need rain, right? And so they worship the god of rain, Indra, and every year they do this puja in order to satisfy Indra. And, they're recognizing all these subtle forces that are acting in the background, right? And, the whole Vedic system, we don't exactly follow it, but it's beautiful and it makes sense, right? We can appreciate it, although we don't follow it ourselves, well, to some extent. But, Krishna consciousness is going in another line. It is focused on the center, the root of everything, the central cause, the central concern. Then we don't have to give so much attention to all of these subtle workings in the environment, because we are watering the root. But otherwise, for persons who are not entering in the culture of exclusivity, of exclusive devotion, then it is necessary that they honor all of these subtle workings of nature. Otherwise, there will be consequences. Otherwise, there will be reactions. This is why we see in the world today, there are so many heavy reactions playing out in the environment, because there's an overstepping of all of these natural cycles, a natural order of things in the environment. So the residents of Vrindavan, they're actually, the real point here is that they're already serving Krishna, and Krishna is the center. Krishna is all in all. So they don't need to go and concern themselves with any of these peripheral things, right? They're already doing the most important thing. So this is Krishna's real purpose. He wants to tell them, why are you worrying about making a demigod happy? Why do you have to worry about the god of rain? Just go straight to the master of the god of rain. Just give everything to me. You don't have to worry about these subsidiary things. This is Krishna's real purpose. He wants to assert his absolute position. But he does it in this very tricky way. And so he preaches this Karma-mimamsa philosophy, saying, oh, why are you bothering with this god Indra? Like, everything's about karma, you know. And, you know, actually this Govardhan hill is the thing that's taking care of us. It's this hill, Govardhan, that gives us waters, you know, gives us grass, gives us shade in the, you know, from the trees. And this hill, this Govardhan hill is what's taking care of us. So let's please directly the hill. Who cares about this Indra and all these other things? You know, who cares about that? So he preaches this like kind of atheistic philosophy in order to convince the residents of Vrindavan to follow him. It's interesting, you know, how, you know, in our conditioned state, you know, this is of course not referring to the residents of Vrindavan, but as a mundane parallel, you know, in our conditioned state, hearing things directly, right? We're not always ready for that, right? So sometimes things are presented in a bit of a zigzag way, you know, a bit of a tricky way in order to hook us, you know, we got to be hooked. Something has to catch us, you know, and then we'll get, you know, some baits, you know, as Gurudev expressed once, some baits. And that will hook us, we'll get reeled in, and then we can go to some finer and finer conceptions. The whole Vedic presentation is about this, you know, trying to find some point on which some people can be baited, and everybody has some different points of attraction, right? And there's something there for everyone. And then gradually persons can be taken to some finer conceptions. So what's being said here in Gita is that for someone who's acting with full detachment from their actions, then they will not produce any result. There's no result that will be caused by that. And then it's being clarified here that this, you know, well, we just read it, you know, that it's not that there will be something that will be some type of pious results that will later be waiting for that person, you know. But no, it is all, as it says, dissipated. It does not, there's no type of reaction, good or bad. It doesn't incur any reaction at all. So we'll just finish this commentary. So the statement of Sri Krishna, samagram praviliyate, all actions are dissipated, ought to not be misinterpreted to mean that the actions of liberated souls cause some such remote worldly consequence or apurva. Rather, the Lord indicates that the actions offered to him by the selfless karma yogi do not cause any subsequent reaction to be either enjoyed or suffered by others in this mundane plane. You know, we were discussing this point recently, I think it was in this meeting, that from a higher perspective, all karma is undesirable. You know, whether it's good karma or bad karma, you know, it's all undesirable. You know, it's all binding, right? It's all binding. Okay, so going back to the text, the ladle is Brahman, the oblation is Brahman, offered by Brahman into the fire of Brahman. One whose consciousness is fully absorbed in Brahman action certainly attains to Brahman, the absolute. And I heard from Gurudev, he mentioned once that they chant this verse. Where was it? Maybe in some like Mayavad temples, those of the impersonalist school in India, this Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavir, Brahmagno, Brahmanahutam, they chant this. I believe he said it was.
It's from, I was involved for a couple of decades with the Shivananda organization. Shivananda does that one as a meal prayer. And I think I remember Chitamani bringing that up too. Yeah. See, that's funny because I piped up, you know, because you put a different melody. That's a meal prayer from Shivananda. Actually, and before they say that one, they chant the Maha Mantra, and they chant it like this: Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So the other way around. I always wondered about that one.
Oh, why they say Hare Rama first?
Yeah.
Well, it is given like that in some places. You know, the Maha Mantra is mentioned in several places in the Vedic canon, but it is rendered differently in different places. And as I understand, in the more well-known version, what is more prominent in the scriptures is the other way around, the Hare Rama first. And so you'll see that often, you know, Hindu persons, when they see us, they'll say, "Oh, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna." Especially in England, you'll hear that from the Indian community. You're Hare Rama, Hare Krishna.
So interesting. I remember actually asking a long time ago. I think I asked that one, and it might have been Jayadev actually answering that it doesn't matter because it always goes around and around and around. So it's like the chicken and the egg, it's not really one is first or second.
Well, that's a whole conversation. Do we want to go into that now? I don't know.
Maybe on a Tuesday for a question and answers.
Okay, that sounds good. Let's save it for a Tuesday because that's a whole discussion. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But yes, that's what I was remembering, but I was a little unsure. But yeah, you confirmed it, Gangalila. That's what I remember Gurudev mentioning once, that at Prasadam time, there's this practice in these temples to chant this, you know, and you know, we can see, you know, that anyone of the impersonalist school, this is a very attractive verse, right? It's saying everything is Brahman, basically. Jayadev, please speak. Please, Jayadev Prabhu. Oh, your line. Oh, we can't hear you, unfortunately. We can't.
Maybe you can type in the chat box. Okay, we cannot even understand you.
It's all throughout the yoke. Okay.
Oh, bummer. Yeah, we have shoddy internet here. Bummer.
Oh, wait, but you're coming through, Chintamani. Okay. Well, now
yeah, I'm not
now.
trying now.
Oh no, it's stopped.
Yes?
Yeah, I can hear you. Why don't you, can you put it in the chat, Jayadev, maybe? But okay, well, unfortunate, we can't hear. But yeah, so well, thank you for confirming that, Gangalila. Yeah, that's what I recall. So this is describing this Brahman consciousness, you know, where one is seeing, and we hear examples of that. You know, Shukadev Goswami, right, who is the giver of the scripture Srimad Bhagavatam, you know, who presented that, you could say, coming through Vyasadeva and presented by Shukadev. But we hear, right, how he was born at 16 years old, right? His mother was holding him for that long in the womb. And so he was born fully grown. And but he's fully absorbed in this Brahman consciousness, seeing this oneness of spirit everywhere. Oh, Radhana Rupini is joining us from Hawaii. Dandavat Radhana Rupini, welcome. I broke my promise. I told her I was going to help get her connected to the Zoom, but then lots of things happen. But you made it. You made it. Welcome. Welcome. Very happy, honored to have you with us. So Shukadev Goswami, right? We were told he from his birth, he was absorbed in this Brahman consciousness, seeing this spirit behind, pervading everything, to the point that he didn't, when he would meet persons, he wouldn't see, oh, this is a man, this is a woman. He couldn't even distinguish. He's just seeing their spirit, he's seeing that spiritual nature underpinning everything. So this is, this Brahman consciousness, seeing this oneness and spiritual nature of everything, which is, that is a particular stage of realization, which is not so easy to attain. But beyond that, is something higher, and that is the dynamic spiritual reality, the plane of spiritual variety, spiritual movement, all of these things, spiritual emotion. So, Bhagavad Gita is giving different lessons, right? And not every lesson of Bhagavad Gita is in the line of pure devotion. Although, for the most part, we can extract devotional connotation and devotional conception at every step. Okay, so we'll continue with the reading here. We can't hear from Jayadev, unfortunately. We'll save it for next time. Some yogis offer sacrifices to the demigods, and others offer the self into the Brahman, into the fire of Brahman, by vibrating the pranav mantra, Om. Some offer their senses of hearing, touching, seeing, tasting, and smelling into the fires of self-control. So this is all, and it's a shame we don't have Jayadev because he can explain these things very well, but this is all part of yoga, the yoga practices. Some offer their senses of hearing, touching, seeing, tasting, and smelling into the fires of self-control. Yet others offer the sense objects of sound, touch, form, taste, and smell into the fire of the senses. So this is all, describing these different sequences, different practices in the yoga systems. But in the practice of bhakti, right, it is more simple, more sweet, more direct. Rishikena, Rishikesha, Sevanam Bhakti Uchate. That the Rishi here is referring to the senses, right? So Rishikena is the senses. This is a verse in the Narada Pancharatra, I believe, originally. And Rishikesh, this is one name for Krishna. Ishwar, Lord, Master. This is a name for Krishna. He is the master of the senses. So all of our senses, Rishikena, we are offering unto the Lord of the senses. It is a simple and sweet practice. It's a very, very wonderful thing. This is one of the things about bhakti. It is like at every step, it is, how can I articulate what I want to say? It is all inclusive and joyful at every step, in the low, what I mean to say is that in the lower stages, right, we're not rejecting the senses, but we are rather connecting the senses. So there's this really nice quote. Is it Bhaktivinoda Thakur? oh, how is it? How does it go? What is engaged in by the senses with the object of prema. I can't remember the quote. I'll have to find it. But this idea that we are in a bodily conditioned state, right? However, we are not negating that, right? We are engaging that. And so it will start out with that material connection, that material connotation. But because it's being offered, you know, to something higher, to something divine, it will become purified. And then in higher stages, one will still be doing the same thing. But it will be of a superior quality, it will be of a fully divine nature. You know, so there are the material senses, but then there are also spiritual senses. But the activity will be the same, you know, but the quality of the consciousness will change. In that, I'm reminded in this chapter 9, is it chapter 9 or is it chapter 12? Yeah, it's chapter 12. There's this describing the nature of, so Bhakti Yoga is the name of the 12th chapter. Yay, Bhakti, we're in the Bhakti cab. Where is that verse that we don't have Suvasini with us today? She's got like all the verses memorized. That Raja Vidya, maybe Chinmoy Prabhu knows that verse, that Raja Vidyam, Raja Guyam. I thought it was chapter 9. No, it's chapter 9. It's chapter 9. Yeah, it's Raja Guya Yoga, the hidden treasure of devotion. Yeah. This is verse number 2 of chapter 9. Know this to be the king of secrets, the king of knowledge, supreme, pure, and imperishable. It is known by direct realization, by one eager to serve me. It is the perfection of religion and very easy to practice. So it's the topmost thing, and it's also the most simple and the most accessible. So this is why many persons they dismiss bhakti, because they say, oh, this is for the simple people, this is for the lazy people, this is for the people who can't hack austerity, you know, can't hack renunciation, who aren't smart enough, you know, to study deep spiritual teachings, you know. So they dismiss bhakti like this. But here, it's right here in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying clearly, it is both the greatest thing and the most simple thing at the same time. So don't be deceived, you know. Whereas the yogis, they have all these convoluted practices that we're hearing about here. Offering the senses of hearing, touching, seeing, tasting, and smelling into the fires of self-control. Yet others offer the sense objects of sound, touch, form, taste, and smell into the fire of the senses. Again, there are yogis who offer all the functions of the senses and the life forces into the yogic fire of self-purification ignited by knowledge. It's all very complicated, and it requires, you know, great physical, mental power and control, you know, very complicated. Or you can eat chocolate cake. You can offer chocolate cake to Krishna and enjoy that chocolate cake. Which do you choose? No, which do you choose? No.
Uh-oh, I heard that chocolate is actually non-Vaishnav and it's not supposed to be offered for Krishna. I did a little chocolate research.
You know what? I have news for you. That recently the GBC of ISKCON officially approved chocolate. I will have you know. I'm
so funny.
This is for real. It's real. They approved it.
Yay!
No, it is actually true, because there is a small amount of caffeine in chocolate. Then technically it is not fit for Vaishnavas. And And in fact, in India, in our temples, they wouldn't offer chocolate. However, practically speaking, it's not something that affects people very much. We just had a whole conversation about coffee, right, the other day, and so I would say it's down to individual choice and individual capacity. But yes, it's true. Technically, chocolate is not 100% bona fide. I'd say maybe 80% bona fide, maybe. Okay, we'll go back to our text here. Okay, so I will catch up with these verses. Oh, wow. Continuing with our thread of thought here, sincere in their practices and faithful to their vows. Some persons sacrifice their possessions, some undergo strict penances as a sacrifice, some practice the eightfold mystic yoga as a sacrifice, and yet others perform knowledge sacrifice by singing and introspectively studying the Vedas. Others practice breath control, closing the right nostril and inhaling through the left. They bring the ascending air into union with the descending. Are you taking notes, Namapriya? Wow, this is no joke. Closing the left nostril and exhaling through the right. They similarly offer the descending air into the ascending. Then closing both nostrils, they check both ascending and descending airs. Yet other practitioners of sense control offer all the senses into the life airs by reducing their food intake. All these persons are knowers of sacrifice, purified by sacrifice, enjoying the nectarian remnants of sacrifice. They attained the eternal plane of the absolute. O Arjuna, foremost of the crews, without sacrifice, one cannot attain fulfillment in this world, to say nothing of the next. So this is all, these are practices that are performed all in pursuit of, oh, Marie has a comment here. Simple doesn't mean easy. Yes, it's true, Marie. You got me there. You got me there. 100%. Look, I'm trying to sell something here, okay? Let's talk about the fine print another day. So this is all in pursuit of moksha, right? Liberation. These yogis, jnanis, tyagis, they go to great lengths. And this is just mentioning something. There's so many other things mentioned. Standing in the midday in the hottest time of summer in the ring of fire, all these things, So many austerities, so much penance, they are performed in pursuit of moksha. And we are told, that simply if one can somehow or other chant a shadow of the holy name as it's an insignificant byproduct, they will attain moksha. This is mentioned, right?
I actually didn't get that. Can you repeat that, please?
I said we are. So I'm contrasting, right? That persons go through all of these very difficult practices in pursuit of moksha.
Yes.
However, for those in the line of devotion, in the line of bhakti, if they are able to chant what is called namabhas, just a shadow of the holy name, not even reaching the pure name, not even achieved revelation of the pure name, if they can just touch upon the shadow of the name, it is said that moksha, liberation, mukti can be affected by that. It is told in the scriptures. So, how, and this is only giving like some slight indication of how vastly superior is this approach of bhakti. And there's one place described in our scripture, Chaitanya Charitamrita. A welcome also to Dana. Wonderful to have you with us today. There's also a place in Chaitanya Charitamrita where Haridas Thakur, Haridas Thakur, one of the principal assistants in Lord Chaitanya Dev's movement of distributing kirtan, Haridas Thakur, he's known as the Namacharya, means the person who inaugurated the chanting of the holy name. He stands for kirtan, Haridas Thakur. And he's actually older. He appeared in this world before Lord Chaitanya Dev. And so he started spreading the glories of Harinam, the holy name, even before Lord Chaitanya did. So he has some special position, and he's referred to as the Namacharya, the teacher, the giver of the holy name. And so there's this one incident where he was invited to speak at some respectable gathering, distinguished gathering, and he was the guest of honor. And so he gave some talk on the glories of the holy name. And he mentioned in this talk this point, that the holy name is so great, so powerful, that even if you just touch upon the shadow of the holy name, what to speak of the pure name, you can achieve liberation through that. And he gives a very, very nice example that in the morning time, even in the early morning, even before the sun has risen past the horizon, you will see light is pervading, right? Light is pervading the atmosphere, even before the sun has come up. So in the same way, even before the pure Shuddhanam, right? Shuddhanam, the pure name has arisen in the sky of our hearts. There will be this purification that takes place. So Haridas Thakur, he pronounces this at this meeting. And there's one gentleman there who's highly offended by this, because he's of the impersonalist school. And so he appeared like, what we are reading here, right? He's living in that world, where persons struggle through extreme austerity, in the slight hope that they may in one lifetime achieve liberation, right? So when he's told this by Haridas Thakur, it's like a slap in the face. Oh, you're struggling so hard through many lifetimes with all this, vigorous austerity and renunciation in the slight hope that you'll get liberation. But the bhaktas, the devotees, those in the line of devotion, they can get it just through a shadow of name, through their chanting, just touching on the shadow of the name. They can get it, so easily and so quickly it can be attained. So he becomes highly offended by this, and he challenges Haridas Thakur, and he says, if what you're saying is not true, then I will, he says something very foolish, is I will cut off your nose. I will cut off your nose. What you're saying is not true. And Haridas Thakur said, if what I am saying is not true, I will cut off my own nose. This is probably some, kind of Vedic talk, mean something to them, this type of language, some expression, And anyway, eventually what happened is that man, as a reaction for his mentality, he had leprosy and his nose withered away, actually. But anyway, I'm just sharing, to give some context, how much trouble persons would go through in the Vedic tradition to achieve liberation. And then on top of all of that, to add insult to injury, the devotees of Krishna don't even want liberation. They're not even interested. They're like, stay away from me. I don't want to have any connection with you. You're going to damage my reputation. What is this dry moksha? Who wants this? We just want the service of Krishna. Whether we're in heaven or hell or wherever on earth, we don't care. We just want the service of Krishna. What is this moksha? Stay away from me. Keep away. You know? So we have some context as we go through this section of Gita. We didn't read the Sanskrit here. So we read the English, but not the Sanskrit. So verse 27, Sarvanindriya karmani pranakarmani chapade atma samyamas yogagno juvati jnana dipiti. Here's dipite. There's that word juvati again. Beautiful word. Dravya yagyastapo yagya yoga yagyastatapade swajaya jnana yagyascha yataya samshitavrata apane juvati pranam prane panam tatapane pranapana gati rudva pranayama parayana apade niyatahada pranan praneshu juvati. Oh, something I went wrong with the meter here. I got mixed up. Sarve pyete yagya viddo yagyakshayita kamasha yagya shishtamita bujo yanti brahma sanatanam nayam lokasta yagyasya kutunya kurusatama. Okay, so going over the page. Does anyone want to add any comments at this point, or questions or anything at all, requests, or should we continue? We still have some time. What are you doing, Brajamohini? Are you making ghee wicks, Brajamohini Didi?
Yeah, I'm making ghee
Oh, was
wicks.
that a picture? Maybe it was a picture.
I have a nervous system thing. I can listen.
Oh, the connection, we can't hear you, unfortunately. Okay, yeah, it's no, you are moving. It's your connection, I think, that makes it. Yeah, we can't hear you so well, unfortunately. It looks very picturesque. Okay, so we'll continue then if no one wants to add any.
I can.
Oh, she disappeared. Maybe she's going to get a better connection. Okay, so moving on to verse 32. Evam bahu vidayagya vitata brahmano mukhe karma janviditan sarvam evam gyatva vimokshase shreyan dravyamayad yagya jnana yagya panantapa sarvam karma kilam parta jnane parisamapyate. Okay, so we've reached a juncture here. So this is the thread, right? So there's this sequence in Gita. Karma yoga, yoga of selfless action. Then jnana yoga, right? The yoga of knowledge. And Ashtanga yoga is also mentioned here. And then ultimately bhakti yoga, right? But see, here's the link here between karma yoga and jnana yoga. And this line is quoted sometimes by our gurus. Sarvam karma kilam parta jnane parisamapyate, saying that the fulfillment of karma is in knowledge. So the success of your karma yoga will be in revelation of spiritual knowledge, right? Through the spirit of sacrifice, through some healthy spirit of abnegation, renunciation of our selfish whims, right? This is the idea of karma yoga, living a selfless life. That's a type of sacrifice, the sacrifice of our mental concoction. that has this purifying effect, and that will result in this higher spiritual awareness, spiritual knowledge. So this is what is being said here. The fulfillment of your karma yoga will be spiritual knowledge. And now this is also a nice example of how we can also draw out a devotional connotation here. And Gurudev does that in the same way, through our sacrifice and service, spiritual revelation will come as a result, in reciprocation, as a result of our wholeheartedly offering ourselves to the higher plane in the spirit of surrender and devotion. Then revelation will come as a result of that. Higher inspiration, higher understanding in the line of devotion will come in response to that. Because but this is in a different line from what is being described here, karma yoga, jnana yoga. This is a different line, but we can make that connotation here. That through sacrifice for the Lord, for Guru, for the Vaishnavas, the saints, then grace, divine grace will come as a result. And that will have this purifying effect, this enlightening effect, and divine revelation will descend. And so then here's another question, right, that comes up here. If we're not receiving that revelation, then we need to question our practice, our service. That there should be that freshness, right? There should be that fresh download that's coming, that higher, deeper connection that's coming in reciprocation to our sacrifice, to our service, to our sincere, heartfelt practice. So then if we're not experiencing that, then we have to question our practice. We have to question our service. And there's also a verse at the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, very famous verse, but I can't remember it right now. Shama eva hi kevalam. I think Chinmoy Prabhu, you must know this verse. Shama, that's the last line. Shama eva hi kevalam. It's saying that if all of your duties, either like the perfect performance of all your duties, if they don't lead, that's it, they do not lead to eagerness to hear about the Lord, then they're all worthless. That's a dharma sanushti tapam sam. Here it is. And as I recall, Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, he liked this verse very much. And I'm seeing a few places here where he's quoting it. Here it is. Dharma, this is right at the beginning of Bhagavatam, I believe. Yeah, it's the first canto, chapter 2, right at the beginning. Verse 8. Dharma sanushti tapam sam vishwakena katasuya notpada yadati yadiratim shama eva hi kevalam. Shama means like useless labor. That's saying, well, I'll read the translation. The occupational activities a person performs according to their position are only so much useless labor if they do not inspire attraction for hearing the message of the personality of Godhead. So what should be the result? So this verse, it's speaking in the context. Oh, here it is. Oh, thanks, Chinmoy Prabhu. It's here in our chat too. It's speaking in the context of the Varnashrama system, right? This is ultimately the idea that through performance of your duty in society, purification of the heart comes, and ultimately some higher attraction for hearing something higher is awakened. And then we can also place that in a more exclusive context in the culture of bhakti, devotion, that we can question ourselves. We can all question ourselves, if the service that I'm making, that I'm offering, is that, like, it's not that it's about the activity. Like, it is not about making perfect puja, perfect worship, or making perfect food preparations, or perfectly cleaning, or whatever our service is, digital service, whatever service that we may be trying to offer. Or we could also say in our sadhana, right, in our practice of shravan and kirtan, hearing and chanting, like, is more desire being awakened as a result. It's not that we're trying to perfectly achieve something in the external sense. We're not looking for some perfect result in the external plane. But as Gurudev expressed once, the result exists within consciousness. It is a subtle thing. So that is something that we can ask ourselves, right? Do I have more eagerness to hear Harikatha, to hear divine messages, to hear from the saints, from the sadhus, from the Vaishnavas? Do I have that desire in my heart? And I sometimes, sometimes when, we all experience and Radha Rupini saying, when you say our service, do you mean any of the 9 processes that we? Yes, we could include that. In general, let's say our practicing life, right? In whatever way it may be expressed, are we performing it in a ritualistic kind of way, mechanical way, just to get it done, just to tick the box, or are we feeling? And of course, there may be days, there may be down days, right? But on the whole, in general, do we feel there's some type of upward arc, on some level, or at least that we're maintaining some eagerness to continue hearing and to continue having association. So sometimes, we may have very dark moments of self-doubt, right? Where we may find that we're not practicing very well, we're struggling with different things. This is the real measurement to know whether we're doing okay or not. Do I have a desire to hear about Krishna consciousness in the association of the Vaishnavas? Do I have that desire in my heart? Then no matter what's going on in your worlds, if you still can look in your heart and find that, then you're okay, we're okay. I feel hopeless myself sometimes. Oh, I'm doing so many things wrong, but I find I still have some desire to offer some service to my guru. I still have some desire to hear from my guru, from the Vaishnavas. I still have some desire to be in the association of the Vaishnavas. Then I think, okay, I won't worry too much. It's okay. We're still on track. We haven't jumped ship yet, or we haven't been thrown off deck yet, But it's okay, haven't been thrown under the bus, it's okay. So that's the real measurement. That's the real measurement. I remember Shuddha Shava Prabhu, our dear friend, he was joking once how, we are warned that Vaishnava aparad, offenses to the saints, this is the most serious danger in our spiritual life, to have the spirit of criticism, to have an offensive mentality towards those who are dear to the Lord, or to those who are sincere practitioners, who have some spark of gold in their heart, to have some negative mentality towards them. We're told that is the greatest danger for our spiritual life. It is like chewing on poison, Srila Sridhar said. And so we're warned, right? We're warned repeatedly cautioned on this point. Avoid Vaishnava aparad, avoid offenses to Vaishnavas. And one time, Shuddha Shava Prabhu, he was joking about this, saying, what will happen if we commit Vaishnava aparad? What will happen if we make a serious offense to a Vaishnava? Will it be that some great monster will come and attack us? We'll be struck down by a bolt of lightning. Is it going to be like that? And he said, really, the result is that we'll lose our desire. We won't have any desire anymore. That's the That's the scariest thing. That's the greatest punishment, to not have any desire. No. To not have any desire. Not feel any inspiration. Even if we don't have inspiration, but the desire to have inspiration, that's something, you know. But then to lose that, to think we don't need it, we don't want it, we don't need it, or even that we want to avoid it, you know, that is, you know, that's the worst position to be in. And another comment from Shuddhashava, related point that really struck me is, you know, there's this incident in Chaitanya Charita. Oh, we're running out of time. I'll just tell this one story. You know, there's this incident described in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the scripture, when this one person is very, very critical, very offensive to Lord Chaitanya Dev himself, to a ridiculous extent. You know, if he sees Mahaprabhu, if he sees some crumbs on the grounds, then he says, "Oh, why are there crumbs here? You know, why are there ants coming and eating these crumbs? You've all been eating too much," you know, and then he's criticizing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. "You're meant to be a renunciate. You're meant to be a sannyasi. Why are you eating so much?" And then Mahaprabhu, to honor his criticisms, cuts his eating by like a third or something. He eats like a third of what he normally would eat. And meanwhile, all of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associates, you know, they're dying, you know, to see Mahaprabhu's eating so little. And then Mahaprabhu becomes very, very thin as a result. And then that man, he criticizes Mahaprabhu again and says, "Oh, why are you practicing false renunciation?" So really critical to the extreme. But you know, there's no, you know, we hear of a number of occasions when he's very offensive to the Lord, but then we never hear about any reaction. You know, because sometimes we hear, like in that story I just told of Haridas Thakur, that man, he criticized Haridas Thakur and he got leprosy, right, as a result. Sometimes we hear, it's like, you know, we kind of like relish this kind of stuff. Oh yeah, like, you know, he got told, you know, he got his punishment, you know. It's like we kind of like want that, we need that. So this like kind of bothered me, like this man, Ramachandra Puri, he was so offensive, but you never hear about that lightning bolt that came down and struck him, you know. And so like it was bothering me. And so one day I asked Shuddhashava Prabhu about that. And he made a very beautiful point. He said, no, just the fact that he's in the company of the Supreme Lord and in the company of all of his beautiful associates, and he has zero appreciation for that. Isn't that already like a punishment in itself? Like you're standing before an ocean of nectar and you couldn't get a drop of it, as our Gurudev said once. Like everything is in front of you and you can't appreciate anything, not one iota. Like you can't get anything from it. Isn't that the saddest thing? Like that lack of appreciation, that's already the worst punishment. That's already the worst situation to be in. So it is an interesting point. To have desire, loliam, right? Hankering, eagerness. This is the greatest wealth. This is our greatest property in Krishna consciousness, in our life of practicing devotion. That we want it, you know, even if we don't have it, but that we want it. And here's the thing: when we do have it, we'll still feel like we don't have it, and we'll want it even more. You know, there will always be some new layer, something higher, you know, that is dangling in front. It is an infinite thing. Well, we have reached the periphery of such Great, great thought. Such great ideal. How blessed we are. Well, I guess we'll end there for today. So we're kind of like on was it 32 or I don't remember. Was it 32 that we ended on? We can talk about it next week and then start again in the same place. Does anyone have any final thoughts before we end for today?
Hare Krishna, Didi. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Dandavats. Thank you so much, and I'm really appreciating the association. One time I heard this analogy which was stuck in my head about what you're speaking, and it goes like this: that this world, this material world, is like an ocean, and our bodies are like a boat on this ocean. And our spiritual master is the captain of the boat, guiding the body. But the boat needs a favorable wind to go forward. And that favorable wind comes from Krishna when we please our spiritual master. And that's the only way I could remember it.
Yes, very nice. This is actually a famous verse in Srimad Bhagavatam.
Okay.
Nirdeham adyam sulabam sudorlabam adyam plavam sukalpam gu karnadadam. He's the captain of that boat.
Yes, he's the captain of the boat.
Yeah, very beautiful. Gurudev really liked that verse. And yes, it is actually what is literally mentioned in the verse is I mean, it's all correct what you said, that our body is the boat and Guru is the captain. And it says the instructions of the Lord, they are like those favorable winds, that are instructions in the scripture coming from the Lord, from the saints, but yes, can also be appreciated in that way too. Yes, very, very beautiful, beautiful verse. Very nice.
And can I say one thing about chocolate?
Please say something about chocolate.
In the grand scheme of things, there are worse things than chocolate. And I think we really have to be sensible. Like pratista is worse than chocolate, like offending devotees is worse than chocolate. Chocolate is just such a small little thing. I think we just have to be a little real. I remember one time I was at the health food store here in Hilo, and there was this male devotee in front of me, and he had chocolate. He was trying to hide it. And he used to be a temple president of a certain place in America. Wow. And he was trying to hide the chocolate. And I was talking to him, and I knew his wife. And then he said to me, Didi, please don't tell my wife I bought chocolate. Wow. And I looked at him and I said, Prabhu, there are worse things in life than chocolate. It's okay. I won't tell her, but there are worse things in life than chocolate.
my goodness. Yes, I mean, for me things are very simple. Like what Gurudev said was good, what Gurudev said was okay, what Gurudev did, I'm following that, So Gurudev would have chocolate. Gurudev gave me chocolate personally. Gurudev probably gave most of our friends here chocolate at some point, then I say chocolate's okay, For me, it's very, like, spiritual life is very simple. Whatever Gurudev said is okay, that's okay in my book, and somebody can go and bring so many scriptural references, like I'll give you another scriptural reference. Yudhisthira, I'm speaking to my hypothetical antagonists. This Tarko Pratishta Shutya Vibhina Nasavashir Yasya Matam Nabinam. What is it? The Dharma Mahajana, but then the last name, Mahajano Yenagata Sapanta. That it is very difficult to understand what is the Dharma, what is the path. Therefore, the most reliable method is to follow the example of the Mahajans, of the great souls. That is the best way. know. Otherwise, people can pull one quote from here and one quote from there, an example from here, and it's like you can go crazy in all of that. You know? It's like I've seen with I've come across threads on the internet of persons debating whether it's okay to take peanuts on Ekadashi, because I think technically they're legume peanuts. You know, they're not technically in the nut category. Marie's nodding her head. So people go off on all these long debates about whether it's okay to take it on Ekadashi. For me, it's very simple. My Gurudev ate peanuts on Ekadashi. They served as peanuts in the temple, like boss. Like it's as simple as that, you know. but you know, we can't always say that in every group that we're speaking to, right? We have to give some proper explanation and quote some shlokas, quote verses, right? We have to give some deep explanation, you know, then we're doing that sometimes, but in our hearts, that's how we feel. It's very simple. What Gurudev said is okay, it's okay. What he did, it's okay. Finish. Nothing else, you know. It's very simple.
Well, I guess, Didi, I'm going to have to make my famous chocolate cake for you the next time I see you, because I make a really good chocolate cake here where I live. It's a mixed group of devotees. It's a mixed group, and we just all honor each other. And because there's no formal temple here, and also like the special feast days, the special days, you know, that we get together, and I'll say, okay, what do you want me to cook? And they always tell me, can you make cake? And I'll say, oh, would you like me to make a white cake, a lily koi cake, or no, we want chocolate cake. So to please them, I do it. I'm going to have to make you a chocolate cake when I see you again.
Oh, well, we'll be looking forward to that. In Hawaii. Yeah, she's a disciple of Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada.
Yes, yeah, since
long time.
1974.
Wow, 1974. Wow, amazing. Well, we're honored to have you with us.
I'm honored to be here.
All right. Well, any last words, Chinmoy Prabhu? Any comments? We're very happy to have you with us always.
Thank you, Didi. Thank you, everyone. Dandavat pranams.
Dandavad. Jai Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai.
Jai.
Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki Jai. All the assembled devotees, dear seekers ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai. Jai Gaur Premanand.
Hari Hari Bol. Jai. Hare Krishna.